Well, hello, Mr. Hartmann.
Hi.
Welcome to Croatia. Welcome to Party.
Thank you.
So, what you're doing at WinDays and what you do at Microsoft, if you can tell us.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I start with what I do at Microsoft. So I'm working at the Central and Eastern European headquarters, and I'm running what we call the business marketing, which is our commercial marketing for the small and medium subsidiaries that we have, and Croatia being one of those subsidiaries. And I'm here for WinDays because we have a couple of meetings with customers, with partners, and then I'm doing a presentation tomorrow on Windows 7.
So Windows 7, we've heard a lot about it. It's supposed to be very good. So what do you think are going to be the benefits for it for corporate users and basically the partners you mentioned that you're meeting in Croatia?
Yeah, I think for Windows 7, if we look to business customers or commercial customers, there are probably three areas of benefits. One is around productivity, especially for mobile users, making them more productive, making them even more mobile. Then we have a strong emphasis on security, making sure that we can improve the security on the PCs, but also again for mobile users because there's a lot of concerns around that. And then last but not least, to basically streamline the PC management, which means bring down the costs of deploying and maintaining PCs with Windows.
And in practice, what would, for example, making the deployment in corporations, what would that ensue? What you're doing? What has Microsoft done to help that in corporations?
Well, the thing is, if typically the cost of keeping a desktop is between, let's say, 200 and 1,000 euros per year. And a lot of that cost is actually coming from the way that people deploy, meaning how they put a Windows version on a notebook or a desktop PC. And with Windows Vista, we introduced a new process and a new format how you can deploy Windows, which is actually reducing that cost quite dramatically. And we are further giving enhancements to make sure that IT administrators have an easy way to deploy new versions of Windows as they go. The other thing where we think that corporate users can save costs is the way that we are dealing with security. And as you probably know, I mean, the whole security is not just a phenomenon in terms of compromising your corporate data, but there's cost associated to that, meaning as soon as you are losing some of your corporate data, there might be immediate impact on the cost side. So if we keep the corporate data more secure, will help also the companies to save money in the end.
Okay, so we help companies save money, we help them better their business. What about end users? Basically, a lot of community feedback has been that Windows 7 is awesome. It can be a real breakthrough in the Windows family. What do you think end users can expect?
Well, the end users, I think they can expect a couple of things. One is it's a very robust operating system because that's probably not the most exciting marketing feature, but I think that's what people expect. They want to have an operating system that works and that doesn't break and that is up. So what we did is just to give you an example, we optimized the boot time of the operating system and also the standby process. So if you have Windows 7, it's almost like switching on and off, let's say, a DVD player, right? So you press the on button and it's there. You press the off button and it sleeps down. So it's not like it takes too long for people to boot up or to shut down Windows. So that's one of the experience that we can promise to end users. The other thing is then more probably related on the productivity side. So the navigation we optimized, so it's much easier to work with multiple applications, with multiple documents, to navigate as such. And that's hard to explain if you don't have the product. But I promise you, I mean, the user experience is in a way that people will find the things that they're looking for much easier. We also introduce some technologies, especially for business users, that make the operating system more productive, in a sense of, if you think about branch offices as one example, where people in small offices, typically they, if they want to access the corporate net and they want to download things, it takes them forever. So we introduce some technologies that make it much faster for people who are sitting in a branch office to download content and to access the corporate network. Just as one example, that there's also some underlying technologies that make it easier for business users and increase their productivity.
So we're talking about simplifying Windows, basically making it more streamlined. What effect do you think that is going to be on the developer community? Will applications that third-party companies create also change in terms of their usability? Will they be influenced? What are your expectations on that field?
I think the almost the most important point is that Windows 7 is not, if you migrate from Windows Vista to Windows 7, it's not as disruptive as probably Windows XP to Windows Vista was. Because Windows 7 is building on all of the architecture that we introduced with Windows Vista. For developers, as you think about the display driver model, that was pretty new in Windows Vista, and that caused a lot of developers to really start thinking differently the way that they want to deploy their applications. Now, with Windows 7, that doesn't change. So we actually expect that 90% plus of all applications that run under Windows Vista will immediately run under Windows 7. So you don't, I mean, because we understand that a lot of developers had this issue, they had Windows XP applications, to migrate them to Windows Vista was actually causing a lot of headache, because they need to rethink some of the architecture that they had with their application. So that's not the case for Windows 7 compared to Windows Vista. So I think the good news is, both for the users as well as the developers, that it's a very smooth migration from Windows Vista to Windows 7.
Taking it a bit farther from Windows 7, since you're basically working as a marketing guy and sales guy in Microsoft, was it like basically doing those things to corporations, to businesses? What's the difference between marketing to large organizations and customers?
I think you change the focus of what are the key values that you want to explain. I mean, if I talk to a consumer, or from a marketing perspective, if we talk to consumer, of course we want to talk about experiences. So what is it that the end user sees? Because end users, they're not interested in technology as such. I mean, they couldn't care less. So they want to understand, are there things that I can do that I couldn't do in the past? New things. Can I do things more easily? So you have to talk around experiences. So what does it feel? What does it feel working with the operating system? So that's the language we want to use for consumers. Whereas if you talk to businesses, you have to be fact-based, and you have to talk about real hard figures, meaning if we say, well, you can save a lot of money with Windows 7, they're going to ask us, okay, how much? How much and where? And so there you have to be less, let's say, emotional about great experiences that you can do, but really be hardcore on, okay, what are the key benefits? How much does that translate into cost savings? How much euros, kronas, or whatever can I save by deploying Windows 7 compared to Windows Vista? And that's obviously something that consumers are not interested. I mean, for a consumer, there's no real cost, quote unquote, associated to keep an operating system.
Great. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.